Module 1 sets the foundational stage for the entire course by deeply exploring the historical evolution, fundamental concepts, theoretical paradigms, and educational significance of child and adolescent psychology. It is essential that educators comprehend how this field originated, how it has evolved through scientific inquiry, and how it relates to practical challenges in modern educational environments. This module provides a comprehensive introduction to developmental psychology, emphasizing the relevance of understanding children's and adolescents' behavior through scientific lenses. It highlights why psychological literacy is critical for educators and how a solid understanding of development allows teachers to make informed, empathetic, and effective decisions in diverse classroom settings. 1.1 Definition and scope of child and adolescent psychology. Child and adolescent psychology is a specialized branch of developmental psychology that focuses on understanding biological, emotional, cognitive, social, moral, and behavioral development from infancy to late adolescence, approximately birth to age 18 or 19. This field examines how young individuals perceive the world, how they process emotions, form identities, make decisions, relate with others, learn, and respond to their environments. Key dimensions of scope include developmental timelines, infancy, early childhood, middle childhood, adolescence, contexts of development, family, school, peers, culture, media, normal versus atypical development, individual differences in temperament, intelligence, and learning style. 1.2 Historical background and emergence as a discipline. The roots of child psychology date back to early philosophical thought, with contributions from Jean-Jacques Rousseau, 18th century, proposed that children are born inherently good and should be nurtured accordingly. John Locke, 17th century, viewed the child as a tabula rasa, or blank slate, shaped by experience. However, scientific child psychology emerged in the late 19th and early 20th centuries, with key milestones including G. Stanley Hall. Often called the father of child psychology, he introduced large-scale child studies in adolescence as a distinct phase. Sigmund Freud emphasized early childhood experiences and psychosexual stages. Jean Piaget revolutionized our understanding of children's cognitive development. Erik Erikson, John Bowlby, Lev Vygotsky, B.F. Skinner all contributed pivotal theories. This history reveals how the field moved from philosophical speculation to empirical science, incorporating cross-disciplinary insights from biology, education, sociology, and neuroscience. 1.3 Importance for educators. Understanding child and adolescent psychology is not optional for educators. It is a professional necessity. This knowledge enables teachers to differentiate between typical and atypical development, design developmentally appropriate curriculum and instruction, respond constructively to emotional and behavioral challenges, foster inclusive learning environments that support every child's needs, understand and respect diverse backgrounds, traumas, and neurodiversity, implement social-emotional learning (SEL) strategies, prevent and de-escalate classroom conflicts. Through a psychological lens, educators learn that learning is not just cognitive. It is deeply influenced by your sense of safety, belonging, identity, and mental wellness. 1.4 Core concepts and key terminology. This module introduces several essential psychological concepts, including nature versus nurture, the debate on genetic inheritance versus environmental influence, continuity versus discontinuity, whether development is gradual or stage-based, critical and sensitive periods, times when specific experiences are most impactful, individual differences, recognition of unique learning profiles, aptitudes, and challenges. Holistic development, emphasis on interconnected growth, physical, emotional, cognitive, and social. 1.5 Major domains of development. Educators will gain insight into how psychological development occurs across the following interconnected domains: physical development, brain growth, motor skills, puberty, cognitive development, memory, problem solving, attention span, social development, peer interaction, group dynamics, friendships, emotional development, regulation, expression, empathy, identity, moral development, understanding right-wrong, empathy, conscience, language development, vocabulary acquisition, literacy, expressive skills. Each domain will be explored in greater depth in subsequent modules, but this module provides a bird's-eye view of how they work together to shape you. 1.6. Cultural and global considerations development doesn't occur in a vacuum. It is shaped by culture, community, ethnicity, religion, socioeconomic status, and politics. Educators must avoid one-size-fits-all assumptions and practice culturally responsive teaching. For example, attachment styles may differ between Western and African households. Expression of emotions is culturally mediated. Concepts of childhood and adolescence vary across societies. Understanding cultural influences helps educators avoid bias, stereotype-based teaching, and neglect of marginalized students' needs. 1.7. The role of research in child psychology. This section introduces educators to research methodologies in developmental psychology such as longitudinal versus cross-sectional studies, observational studies in natural settings, e.g. classrooms, experimental and quasi-experimental methods, ethical concerns when researching minors. Teachers will learn to interpret scientific findings and translate them into educational decisions. I look forward to congratulating you upon the completion of this course.